be multiple lessons. And I knew in order to do this right, I wouldn't be able to afford it. So at the time, someone was offering free surf lessons, and I brought her out there. And her first pop-up, she absolutely loved it. The group that I brought her out to, things just didn't work out with, me being there and with the kids that I brought over. And I was kind of bummed because, like I said, financially, I didn't think it was something that I could do with her and the group that I had, which was, at the time was about 8 or 9 all girls. So it was crazy. Mm-hmm. And Warren had been back from the Marine Corps. He was looking to do something in the neighborhood that he grew up in. And he saw what I was doing, and he reached out, and I was like, man, I need you. I need your organizational skills. I need your youth. Mm-hmm. I need your abilities. It's something that we wanted to do when we started really, really small. It was just Warren, myself, everything out of pocket, my beat up minivan that you see all the time, and this group of girls in the water. Warren was the only instructor. He was the everything. I drove the car. I carried the boards. I did what I could do. And that's how it started out. And people like yourself and everybody else we meet on the beach, they would look out for the girls in the water. Warren couldn't, be with everybody at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that's how the collective started to grow. And again, it's something that's ever evolved. And it started something really small, just like a little, group of kids that want to surf. And then every week we get a few kids that come out. Warren would take them in the water. Again, the only person. Sometimes from about 7 a.m. to about 3 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah, giving instructions, kid after kid, one-on-one. Each kid getting them up on a wave, getting them up on a wave. And we knew that if we wanted this thing to grow, that we would have to find one, for safety reasons and everything else, we'd have to find a better way to do this. We'd have to get more of the surf community involved, fundraising, and all these other things. And that's where the collective, the group, volunteers and members and organizers have come in. It's become a lot more structured. We want to have them have this introduction to surfing. Yes, we want to introduce you to, your first pop-up and everything else. But we want to make you really good surfers too. Mm-hmm. We want you to understand the rules. We want you to have water safety. We want you to have mentorship for things that you might be interested in. So it's become more than that. It is very expensive to do. It is still primarily out of pocket and small donations from, just people we meet. And so, and then again, the children that we're trying to reach, we say in our bio, are the underrepresented youth, primarily of the Rockaways. In the past, we've always had problems with saying no to anybody who come along. We leave it up to people to be honest about their situation. If you can afford surf lessons and you have the means, then that's the route that you want to go. I don't want to say it's not for you. You can come and you can hang out and you can, the water's free. You can surf with us. We're trying to reach the kids like my child or some of the other kids that were out here who can't afford it, who don't have the access. Who are underrepresented, either because of they're racially or financially or otherwise. That's one of the things that we're working on now is tapping into the local community, to the Rockaway community, to the youth organizations that are out here, and getting the kids who may be interested in doing something like this out.
That's been one of my personal kind of initiatives, as well as definitely trying to stay on message as much as possible. We have a bunch of volunteers and people who want to be involved, and that's amazing. That's great. We need as much exposure and as much help as possible. I mean, as Aydon was saying, for the past 2 years, it's just been him and I running out of pocket. He works 24/7. Mm-hmm. I work 2 jobs. I'm in school full time, and I was doing this as well. So literally the entire year I'm in school. We love and we actually wouldn't have been able to do this if it wasn't for our volunteers and the coordinators that we do have. But I think that for Aydon and I, because we've been able to be a little more hands off when it comes to coordinating, our personal efforts have been towards outreach and to reaching out to the kids who absolutely need this. So kids like myself, kids like Aydon, who didn't have the access. So, I mean, I'll go to Stop and Shop and I meet kids and I'm like, hey, do you know how to surf? Can you swim? I'll talk to their parents and ask them, would they like to come out? We have different events that kind of introduce them into the water and surfing. They're probably going to be by the beach anyway, or, they might not be doing something, especially now during COVID, where a lot of kids need an outlet. So we do stuff like that. It's hard now because normally I would be able to go to a school and say, hey, this is what we do. Do you have any children that might, be interested in coming over and learning how to surf and learning about water safety? And we don't just do surfing, as we were saying before, it's kind of like an introductory kind of thing to all this stuff. I mean, the real basis of what we do is showing the children of Rockaway that like what their capacity is, that they're so much more than, just this peninsula and what their circumstances are now. So if they didn't think they could surf before and they can surf now, then who knows what they can do. I mean, a bunch of us are rock climbers as well. Like that's another sport that's like, that a lot of kids of color don't have access to. So that's another thing that we help provide them with mentorship in all of our different professions of all the volunteers and coordinators, but as well as, like I said, all of our different skills, like rock climbing, like snowboarding, things like that. So there are a lot of sports that we normally wouldn't have access to that we try and provide to these kids, but we try to reach out to as many kids as possible. Like literally every kid that I come in contact with and any parent that I know that has children within that age range, which is normally from probably from 9 until 17, we normally try and reach out to them and encourage them in some way to participate, whether it's even skateboarding as well. We've been doing that. We're partnered with a local shop that does skateboard lessons for the kids in the area. So all these things they're all outlets for the kids, especially now during COVID, which is, I'm sure parents are going nuts with their kids inside and, them always on Roblox and Fortnite and all this stuff. So it just gives them a chance to get outside, expand their minds, and be better people. Back to your note about being better citizens as well. I mean, we're also partnered with Surfrider and Patagonia, who's been helping us out with our environmentalism aspect as well. So we do a monthly beach cleanup and we do a lot of awareness as well. So we're always educating the children about the dunes, and we encourage them to educate other people about the dunes. But just about the beach in general and conserving the beach, as well as Jamaica Bay, because we're surrounded by water. And Jamaica Bay and the beach themselves, they both protect us, and they're a huge part of who we are here in Rockaway. So we definitely try and instill that in the children as well, and in all of our community and all of our collectives. So one of the things we've been so wary about was kind of identifying ourselves as a nonprofit or as any of this stuff, because at the end of the day, this doesn't belong to Aydon or I. Everyone's oh yeah, you guys have founded it, whatever. We have never been that way at all. Our coordinators and volunteers, they're all equal members and they contribute. Everyone contributes equally, and we love everyone's input, and we take cues from everyone else for the most part. So we just love the fact that our family grows all day to day.
Yeah. So I know you asked originally about someone was interested, how they would reach out to us, because that's always kind of been the problem with similar organizations, right? And so you would have, in my eyes, I would see organizations out there saying, hey, we want to provide this for underrepresented youth, or some of the local, businesses would have something saying, hey, we're going to have this thing and we're going to have kids who normally wouldn't get a chance to do this, doing this. And so they post something up. Just access to that information you don't have. You're living somewhere, you have no access. You don't even know that this stuff is going on. And then I would see these events. You see me all the time. I'm on the beach. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we're doing an event for, we're offering free X, Y, and Z. And I kind of look over, and you can't tell by looking at someone, usually. But if you're pulling up in a $150,000 car and you're, you've got this or whatever, you probably are not the person that this particular thing is geared towards. I would see these people, taking part in these types of events. I would see that on the beach. Hey, so-and-so is giving this for the whole week. They're offering free lessons to so-and-so. And I would look over and I would be like, okay, all the kids that are participating, you hear free. I don't care how much you have. You're going to say, hey, I'll bring my kid. It's free for the week. But you're really not reaching that core demographic that you're looking to reach to. It's you're doing it, and I guess you feel good about yourself that you're doing it, but there's no outreach. I am Rockaway. I've been here. I've been in this, dealing with the school system since I guess I was a teen and I attended the schools and everything else. This is who we want to reach. We want to make sure that we are making a difference in a child's life who ordinarily would not have this chance. And that's the group that we have right now. It's the same way. at the same time, we're realistic. With the funds that we have, and we know that we can only help with so many. That was a mistake that we made initially. We wanted to help everybody. And if that meant we would be out here 5 days a week and we would be given these lessons, I'm blessed that I can work from home or from anywhere remotely. And you've seen my setup in the back of the van, sometimes with both my laptops and my generator and everything else. And we would try and do this 5-6 days a week. And we would try and do it from sunup until early afternoon. And it's just not realistic because there's a limit to everything. And so what we've tried to do more recently is restructure, get a handful of the kids locally that you can take in, because you can't take everybody. A football team can't have 100 kids on it. Neither can a baseball team. You take in the kids and you work with them, and it's a program, and you work them through it. And as the kids become older, they become involved. They become helpers. They become participants.
It grows exponentially through participation.
Right.
I think what you're imparting to the kids are lifelong skills that will be so, immeasurably valuable. This kind of connection to your physical body, to doing kind of recreation and opening up your creativity, access to nature, and then also what you can do. And I think those are the things that like sports and, physical activities in nature can teach us and connect us to our core selves and this kind of harmonious way. And I think that kind of brings us to your background. I mean, even though you don't surf, Aydon, you do come from a football background. And Warren, you surf, but you have some military training as well. So I imagine that it's fun, but there's also kind of discipline, and it's connected to a bigger vision of how we grow as individuals into healthy beings, and beings that are connected to like a team or the idea of community, that what we do affects other people as well. So,
yes.
As far as your background.
So I can tell you from my perspective, I played football from the time I was about 13 years old, and then went off to college, came right back. And I'd say the year that I came back, I started coaching.
Oh, wow. What position did you play?
I started off as a running back, and then I put on a little bit more weight. I played offensive line.
Okay.
And I can't remember ever not having, being involved with football or with sports in some capacity. Going back as far, I thought it was a saving grace for myself and so many of my friends growing up here in the Rockaways. Yeah. It allowed so many people to go off to college, even if they weren't playing sports. It just the pride that it built being a part of something bigger than yourself.
Right.
And I think that's important. And it transfers to surfing. It is an individual thing, but being part of a collective, being part of a group, it does transfer to that. Now, I've mellowed out in my older age, and I've got primarily a group of preteens and teen girls.
Right.
I'm at the age now where it's like they get over on me really, really easy. I'm not as physical as I used to be, so I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. And this is where, and he'll speak more to this. This is where Warren comes in. He is ex-Marine for about 12 years, very disciplined, very regimental, very, let's go. This is how it's going to be done. Part of this is being healthy, taking care of your body, and eating the right things. And Aydon, he told you guys to go to Dunkin' Donuts. No, that's not what we have. Some fruit in there. And that's what I needed. That's what I lacked, because I had mellowed out so much, and it was like, they just ran all over. And then Warren came and just kind of cracked the whip, and it was like, okay, so we're a good team.
Wait, Warren, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Because you look very young.
Me?
Warren.
I'm 49 this year. Everybody thinks Warren's my son.
Yeah, Warren looks very young.
Your son, he's such a good kid. Oh, he's so mature.
Well, by temperament, it sounds like he's the father in the mix and you're the grandpa here, allowing Dunkin' Donuts. And
there you go. Yeah. So everybody thinks he's my son. Full disclosure, he's not my son.
No, I'm 32. So I was in the Marines for 12 years. So I got out, and then I started working corporate in Manhattan. I do cybersecurity. That's what I did in the Marines. And that's what I started doing in the corporate world. And I was doing it pretty heavy, and I was really up there making really good money. But at the end of the day, it was not fulfilling at all. And it was really stressing me out to the point where it was affecting my health. And I made that decision that I had to leave it for my own health and for the benefit also of my family. Like, I hadn't seen my family in so long. I resigned from my job, and then I started surfing, and, I was doing that for a while. And then eventually, I started this organization, and I was able to contribute a lot more. So it was more than me, at that point.